everyone. My name is Megan Billy, and I am here with VooDoo Val. Hi, Val. And we're back for another weekly Firefly meetup. This time we will be talking about using Firefly as an inspiration for illustrations. We'll be working between Firefly and Fresco, and Val's going to show us her process.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it because it's been fun kind of messing around with all of the possibilities in Firefly, and I have sort of developed a process of creating inspirational images, which I use to create mood boards and then illustrate based on those mood boards, either designed for color or perhaps showcasing different kinds of materials, tests to see how certain colors and various elements work together, which has been a lot of fun. So we are going to be creating some interesting little pocket planets today, which I hope that you folks will help me to create some prompts to generate. And we're going to be dragging these images into Fresco to use as inspiration to design magical items. So if you guys are into magic, if you guys are into science fiction and fantasy, which I know a lot of you are, this is going to be
I know both
fun.
of us are.
Yeah, we
talk about
totally,
this a lot.
We nerd out often. And so I'm thinking like magical props. So if you don't know what magical props is referring to, it'd be like a staff or like, you know, some kind of magical amulet or artifact, something like that. And I feel like these images really like kind of capture that essence. So as you can see, I've just done like a tiny planet made out of crystals and magic. And I use that prompt that way because I want like an orb of something, you know, to create like, they almost either look like planets or like little snow globes or terrariums.
Totally snow globes.
I typically get this kind of result when I do a prompt like that. So I'm gonna make another couple of images. I actually snagged this one in the top left because I really, really loved it. It looked like, to me, something that if I was a magical sorceress, this would be on my mantle at home, you know? Like, so I was like, that's definitely what we need. But I feel like we could also do something like, so we have a tiny planet made out of, which is typically how I start these, but we could also do like mushrooms and ferns too.
Let's see it. A little more terrarium style. And you have the art filter on as well.
Yeah, and you could, I mean, you could go into any like popular styles, whatever it is you're looking for, but this works for me. Cool. So these ones are kind of neat. I kind of want something that's a little more like magical looking. So we could say instead of mushrooms and ferns, we could say magical mushrooms, fireflies.
Ooh, cool. We have a bunch of people jumping in the chat while you're generating that. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hi, Christoph. Hi, Wade. Good to see you guys. We are live, so make sure if you want to see anything cool generated by Val, pop it in the chat. We'll get those generations going.
I like these because I feel like this is a little more like, you know,
more
magical.
Yeah.
This one in the bottom right is pretty cool, but I also like the top right, and I kind of want to see if doing another popular style will change it. Like if I throw digital art on there, kind of what do I get? Something that's a little more...
I like these little filters that are on the side because it just makes it easier. Sometimes you don't really think about like what kind of art do I want it to look like. This helps.
This one in the bottom left, I think, is really cool because it looks like, you know, we could look at that and be like, okay, what kind of creature lives in this one?
They could totally be
so
in there.
I'm gonna snag that one. I'm gonna go ahead and download it.
Cool.
So let's snag that one. And then, is there anything in the chat that we want to snag? Let us know, because I can use what we've got here as we get started. But if anybody has any interesting things that they would like to add so that we can create some other ones for our task here today, let us know. And I'm just going to select this. And
especially like little cute animals or something like that you want to see be in this terrarium or be in this world.
Yeah.
Tell us what you guys want us to generate.
So I'm going to pop over here into Fresco, and I'm going to snag these images from my camera roll, and I got to find it, I think. Oh, there they are. There we go. Let's go ahead and snag this one if I can. Yeah, there we go. And because it's a photo, I can actually just like add it on the outside here and drag it however I like. And that's typically how I work in Fresco, is I will grab my reference images and I will just throw them on the outside of my canvas so I can look at everything, and then they just kind of live out here, which is like, I don't think I've done a single project in Fresco since I discovered that I could do this without doing it. So let's grab our other one with our mushrooms and things.
It's such a great use case for Firefly because, you know, using these as inspiration photos, but then still being able to like stick to your style.
Yeah.
And create what you want to create as an artist is such a great use case.
And I found that, like, you know, because for me personally, there's a lot of people who can use Adobe Firefly for, you know, creating composites or, you know, whatever it is that Firefly can do for them. But as somebody who is a painter and an illustrator, I prefer to do it myself.
Of course,
but it can give me a lot of, like, I get a lot of value at just like looking at this. Like from here, I can see like all these interesting artifacts inside of this crystal can give me this idea that like maybe we do some kind of like staff, like the top of a staff, and then put a creature swirling inside of the staff. Yeah. Like, you know, that could be really cool.
And even like the texture that's there could be great inspiration for like texture that you want to add to maybe the staff or maybe the wizard's gown or something like that. You can take that texture and like use it in different places.
Seeing the different colors like side by side, all that kind of stuff is like maybe something I might not have chosen at first for myself, but you know, seeing it in action here and, you know, seeing the colors work so well, I might try that.
We had a question in the chat from Adrian, wondering if we created these just for fun or if there was a specific goal or design in mind. And I think that that's a good point. Like when you're creating stuff, when you're generating stuff, what's kind of your thought process?
For me personally, I like to, because I'm generating for illustration inspiration, I typically have a plan in my mind for like the aesthetic that I want to go for, or the, like, you know, for this, for example, is like I wanted to create like a little planet just so that my purpose in that was I felt that a planet or a terrarium type thing would be like a little nugget of various elements for me to look at. So doing it that way and then putting those keywords in that I really wanted. Like for this one, I believe I typed in a terrarium made out of a pocket planet made out of crystals and magic or something like that. Yeah. You know, so that gave me what I wanted.
So although these were made for fun, and a lot of times we are generating things for fun in Firefly, like it is good to go in with a specific goal in mind, because you're going to be able to be a little bit more specific and prescriptive about what you want it to give you.
Yeah. So quick little information about Fresco. So typically what I like to do when I start a project is I've grouped all of my inspirational images over here, and you can't see them because they don't show up on the canvas, but I know that if I want to hide it, then all of my inspo is in one place. And then I do have favorite brushes that I go through. I use a lot of Kyle T. Webster brushes because I have like tons of different brush packs. But as you use a brush in Fresco, it creates its own little file up here that is unique to each and every project that you begin, called recent. So before our stream today, I went and this is the default pencil that we start with, and then I knew I wanted to use classic felt tip and halftone. So I went and just used them and tapped on the canvas so it would add them to my recent folder.
Nice.
And now I've got it.
That's a good little tip, little hack.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we starting with?
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sketch like some little silhouettes here of something that I think would be cool. So if we did like a crystal that's kind of inspired by this guy over here, and we wanted to make it something that is like from a magical world, some kind of artifact or something, I kind of want to do it at an angle. And then I'm thinking if this is going to be like some kind of staff or something, then we should kind of trail it down. So it's just going to be like a quick, messy sketch. And then kind of create like, you know, with a lot of this stuff that's over on the edge here on our reference image, like we have all this rock, you know? So maybe this is like ensconced in something of that nature, you know?
Cool.
So there's like this crystal that juts out and then it can lead down into like a handle, you know, and then there's like where a wizard would kind of grasp here, yeah.
Do you usually start with like a rough sketch like this?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I would say if there's any illustrators in the chat today, one thing that you got to realize, one thing I wish that I realized in the beginning is like, this is so messy. That doesn't mean that it needs to stay messy, and you just gotta kind of throw stuff at the canvas and get it down, you know, because now I have a starting place. And when it comes to making a sketch, I can't think of a way to make a sketch that is like a wrong way,
right?
Really, because even if it doesn't go the way that you want it to, putting things down on the canvas that you don't like lets you know the direction you don't want to go in.
Exactly.
You know, which is just as valuable. So
you don't know you don't like it until you see it, and you're like, nope.
And you're like, this isn't working. But yeah, so here is like a little, you know, staff sort of thing, which I actually really like the vibe of this. And what I want to do is make sure that there's like a straight line kind of going through the center of this, so I can make sure to line it up. In fact, what I might do, honestly, is just, we could do it straight on for now. Because then I can do like a quarter turn when it's finished, you know.
So is this going to be the centerpiece of our art?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
I think we're gonna do like a magical
Things around
thing.
this. Okay.
But we can add some more if anybody in the chat would like to give us some inspiration or we make like some magical item requests, like for an amulet or something cool, because that could, you know, be this too. Imagine like, okay, you're a witch, Megan.
Okay.
You're a witch. And you have an amulet that's like this big honkin' thing, you know, that's like just like filigree designs around it, and then it has this crystal centerpiece, and there's like, I don't know, some kind of magical sprite trapped inside, and you're like, that's right, something like that. You know, something big.
Okay,
so we could do like, you know, something like this, like maybe it's like one of those bib type necklaces.
Sure.
Something like this.
What if there's like a little eyeball
in
in the gem?
Yes. I like it. You're picking up what I'm putting down,
like a
Megan?
like almost like a snake eyeball.
Oh my! Oh yeah. So like with like a
pupil.
line pupil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I like this.
That already looks so good.
And we can do like I feel like it should come out at an angle, like, you know, like this, like kind of bow. Almost like, you know, if Cleopatra was a witch and she was gonna wear a necklace, you know, what kind of style would that be?
Right. It would take up her entire upper body.
Just like boom.
Yes.
So like maybe it could have like little pieces that hang down too. So maybe there's like
little gold pieces.
Yeah, like more in like a panel that would like come down the chest kind
all the way. Yeah.
So we could do something like that with,
just super dramatic.
Yeah, just like,
of course.
We're gonna go crazy. If we're doing magic, if we're magical girls now, Megan, we gotta
accessorize like
the
one.
fit has to be legit. So that's like a cool concept that we could do. So I just put that on the same layer. Typically what I will do actually is like the little concepts that I throw out will be like on their own little layer.
Yeah, so that way you can hide them and
mess around with it. So what I'll do is I just wanted to make it a little bit smaller, and then what I'm gonna do actually is cut selection and paste selection, and then just pasted it in place on a separate layer, so it's over there. And then we have all of this other space on our canvas for you know, checking out something else. If you guys want to, but let's do our little our crystal scepter here. I think it's a scepter. I think that's what we should do. And what I'm going to go for here is I'm going to make myself a new layer, and I'm going to select multiple layers and group them so that I can come in here and work solely with those layers that I've got going on. So I'm going to turn this down to a lower opacity. And I am going to start to do something a little more refined. So let me grab, you know what, I might come in here to my my favorites, and I have like a Blocko brush, which I really like. Kind of turn the smoothing down a little bit on that, and we're gonna come in here and make it cool. So one of the things I like about this is that it has like this like ridge around, you know, like the edges aren't
the gold one.
Yeah, like the gold one, and then like the major centerpiece here, it has like these lines through it.
Yeah.
So crystals have like a really cool kind of lined texture pattern on them when they're unpolished. that kind of, in fact, I'll kind of do it a little bit.
You know what's cool about that is like that's something that I wouldn't know. I'm not a crystal.
Your girl
I'm not a
is.
crystal holder. I'm not a crystal gal, but if you do generate this in Firefly, like it is easy to see that kind of stuff that you might not otherwise realize. If you're not a crystal girly. So.
And it can at least inspire you, like even if you know, maybe that's not a fact, but it can give you an idea for like elaboration on something. Like maybe it would look cool if certain things were possible. So I'm just gonna do like, you know, these sides because I know I want to do faces, and crystals typically have this little thing going on. And you might have, if you've ever seen like crystal images, they're like sketchy lines, but they have like these cool tiers from the natural growth of them. And so adding a little bit of that detail makes
layers.
As they kind of spring up out of the ground with magic.
We did have a comment in the chat from Penny. A bag of holding?
A bag of holding. Speaking my language.
The reaction, I love it.
So a bag of holding, if there's any D&D folks in the chat, any video game folks in the chat, fantasy lovers in the chat, you guys probably know what a bag of holding is.
I do not, though, so tell me.
A bag of holding is like the tent from Harry Potter. Like you go in and there's way more stuff on the inside. So
Got it.
A bag of holding would be like a bag that a traveler crossing the vast, fantastical lands of wherever, you know, has, and it's like, it looks like a little pouch, but I mean, there could be a lot of stuff in there.
Okay.
You have no idea.
There's one of those in Harry Potter.
Yes, there is. Yes.
I always talk about Harry Potter. Every time I come on a stream, I feel like Harry Potter gets brought up.
That's like me, and the other thing that I always talk about that I really was going to try not to. You might be familiar. It's like about a war in the stars.
Yes.
It's like
I know what you're gonna say.
Because
if you follow Val on Instagram, you know exactly what she's talking about.
You know what I'm into, guys. You know. So I'm just gonna do like kind of this. What I think would be really cool is if we make it look sort of organic. So if we do like, you know, it kind of goes in that direction. You know, like just really like wraps around, sort of. So I think that we're gonna do something like that. Just make it, because this stuff is like looking pretty organic.
Yeah.
So we could do almost like, you know, that formation that looks kind of natural, and what can happen. That's is we can We're making up our own kind of grammar for this stream, folks. We could put like crystals jutting out of it, you know, if we wanted to. Like there could be like littler crystals, almost like a geode, kind of in here if we wanted, and then kind of taper that down as if like maybe somebody polished it, you know, and get some cool designs going on here for like a handle, and then maybe some more of that organic shapes, and then like the end of it could be another crystal, which I think would be cool. I would carry this you know, if I was magical.
We have a lot of D&D talk going on in the chat now.
Lay it on me.
Penny is just talking about how she always carries her bag of holdings so she can keep track of other people's stuff.
You never leave home without it. You never know when you might need it, you know.
And then Christoph is saying that we should have an infinite bag of space since we're on this little planet.
Yeah,
theme.
You know what? We could just carry our, like snails, you know? Just take my place with me, you know?
If you do generate that, Christoph, share it with us on Instagram or something. Tag us on Instagram.
Okay, this works for me. Let's make it pop. Cool. Okay, let's make this fancy, shall we?
Yes.
So I'm going to turn this on a lower opacity, and then we're gonna come underneath here, and with a brush, I think I'm gonna come back to my classic felt tip.
It's crazy to me how fast you sketched that out. As someone that doesn't draw in Fresco, like that is crazy. It looks so realistic.
I'm glad that you feel that way, because I feel like artists have different ideas, right?
For
about
sure,
like
of course.
what they're doing well or not. I constantly, probably fast because I always feel like I'm taking too long.
Really?
Yeah, like I always feel like I'm taking
Oh my gosh,
too long.
that would have taken me like 3 years. To
Oh,
do.
okay. Well,
Literally.
I am
Check
fast
back in 3
compared to-
years,
yes.
and I'll have a sketch for you.
Thanks for the sketch, Megan. All right, I'm just gonna fill in the area. You could grab the lasso tool if you wanted to for this. In fact, maybe we will just for
show
the
us how that
crystal,
is.
because then it doesn't, I can come in. I think we'll do the regular lasso tool, because then I can come in with like the magnetic.
Yeah.
If you instead of going like this and like selecting something organic, if you select the lasso tool and you just do a tap, you will actually get like the polygonal lasso tool.
Cool.
So it's like hard edges, which I prefer.
There's so much to Fresco that I didn't know.
It's actually, I feel like the whole layout of it, the reason why I took to it really, really well, I think, is because it's actually very intuitive. Everything's laid out, and it almost would seem simple until you dig into all of the individual tools and find out there's a lot more depth.
So much
behind
capability.
there.
I know you made some content earlier this year about animating in Fresco.
Yes.
It's on our YouTube channel if anyone is interested, and it's awesome. I did not know you could do that.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I feel like there's something for everyone in Fresco, and if you familiarize yourself with all the little like odds and ends and little Easter eggs and things, you could get really, really intricate.
Yeah.
And it works with the Creative Cloud, so I can work on stuff in Photoshop if I want to, and then come back into Fresco and back and forth and do all that jazz,
Love the cross-app workflows.
Yes, yes. I don't know why I said that like that. Yes,
You're
yes,
excited
folks.
about this magic.
I am.
Magic scepter.
I'm going to make that a little bit lighter because I
Okay.
want to choose a darker value of gray to start blocking in our little handle here, because I definitely like here in our reference inspo image, we have like a lot of bright colors for our crystal and then darker colors for these organic crazy shapes down here. So I'm basically going to be blocking this in with just grayscale values, and then I will come in individually to the various elements and start to detail them separately with color and stuff.
Okay.
And I like to do that because, to be perfectly honest, I have a hard time deciding on colors and things right at the beginning. And sometimes I do a good job of like painting directly in color and everything works, but I feel like, and maybe let us know in the chat if you guys feel like this too, if you folks are illustrators, or graphic designers, or anything really using color. I feel like if I plan too thoroughly, then I get stuck in like this rigid idea of what my project has to be, and I don't have enough organic evolution of my project.
Yeah, like room to play.
Yeah,
Totally.
so like hammering out like this super hard stop like plan for it with all my colors picked out doesn't always work for me, because then I feel like it's too rigid. And if I'm doing an illustration and trying to choose the colors because I didn't plan as I'm painting it, then I get really overwhelmed. So starting in black and white and then adding the colors afterward actually works really well. And all of my paintings, almost all, I would say like probably 95% of the paintings you see in my portfolio are all started in black and white like this.
Have you played around with the recolor tool in Illustrator?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah. I just typically like, I have so many different like random values in my stuff, and because I'm predominantly working in either Fresco or Photoshop, I'll like snag a blending mode, but for various workflows it makes a really, really good impact.
I know a lot of people do get overwhelmed with like color choices, so I think it's another great place you can go to for inspiration, and maybe it's not the exact color palette that you want, but it's like a good starting place to see what works well together.
Kind of like what we're doing here is that like just to be able to see something different than what you would have initially chosen or gone for, can open up a lot of possibilities. Totally. I just kind of by accident, like with the way that I sketched this, like I did this weird little kind of push over of that dark value onto the crystal, and I really liked how that looked, so I kind of put a little bit extra. And if you can imagine for a second that it's like that dark material is like kind of spread around, like wrapping super organically around this, it's kind of like what I'm going for. Like it's embedded, is kind of the look I'm hoping for with that.
I like it. We have a lot of Fresco fans in the chat right now.
Oh, yeah?
Michelle said it's her favorite app, together with Express, for creating fun stuff. Gareth says that most of his stuff starts in Fresco and then moves over to Photoshop and Illustrator. So
nice.
If you're not playing around with Fresco, you might want to start. Sounds like it's a great starting place.
I would say that I actually use Fresco in combination with Adobe Express probably every day.
Really? What do you do?
I will illustrate something like this, and then I will export the images and then go into Fresco to make like my Instagram posts and stuff. And now with the beta,
Express.
Yeah, Express. That's right. That's right. But then I will go, make all of my posts in Express, and then with the beta, I can take the time lapse, because if I go, we can just do this real quick. If I go here, I can go to preview time lapse and just play. It records every single stroke that you make. So I will take this, if I want to, and I will cut an Instagram reel.
That is so cool. This is such a great way to show like clients or people that you're wanting to work for, like your process is just putting that in Adobe Express. Super easy to send out to them.
Yeah, and it also, I've actually been playing around with how I formulate my projects as I work in Fresco, because Fresco will make me this, right?
Yeah.
So imagine for a moment that you don't actually have to cut most of what you do with this time lapse for Instagram. Just paint on a canvas that's actually the proper ratio for an Instagram reel, and then do like what I did in here every once in a while. If I play it, you can see like after I was done doing the sketches, I did like the arrow drawing of like the directional. So then when I take the image, which is already the proper size and shape for a reel, once I get to that point, I can do the voiceover in Express, and talk about like, so I'm doing it in the direction like from the top left, down to the bottom right, and I want to swirl it around, and you can make it really easy for yourself to create content.
The video features are great in Express. They're super easy to use. So if you're not using that, check it out as well. A lot of people are saying they use the time-lapse feature. I have never used that, and now I'm going to. It's super cool.
Highly recommend it.
In 3 years, when you get my sketch, you'll also get a time-lapse of me doing
a
3-year-long time-lapse. Okay, cool. So we're just finishing out the staff.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave this bottom part pretty rough, because what I'd like to do is focus mostly on that, like the top part of this, because I feel like it's the more impressive part. So we'll leave that. I just want to get like a little bit of something in there. But that's cool. It's like, honestly, it's like a magical crystal club is kind of like what it is, some kind of magical weapon. But
I was gonna say
it's starting to look more menacing as
like
we go on.
Something. I like it. You need it. Witches got to protect themselves.
We do, So I'm going to turn the opacity down even more on this, just so I can barely see it. It looks like I've got a little bit of space here where I need to just make sure that that's colored in. And so now we're going to paint this baby up, okay? We're going to make it fancy. So I'm going to make a clipping mask over the top of this, and I'm also going to make a second one. This is just a personal process of mine in Fresco, is I will make a clipping mask, and then instead of like working on this clipping mask, which for those of you who might be unfamiliar with clipping masks, if I grab like this color here, because this is clipped to this shape of our crystal, if I come in here, it will only paint on like within the confines of whatever it's clipped to, so I can start to isolate the different elements and illustrate them.
Okay.
But after I, do this, maybe I want to make another clipping mask, then I would make a new layer and then clip that layer to it. Or what you can do is make a clipping mask and leave it empty, and then start making them underneath, because if there's a clipping mask above the layer I add a layer to, it makes it a clipping mask automatically.
Oh.
So then I just have to, okay, blah, 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 there's some purple, and then I want to make another one, and it already makes it a mask because this one up here is already clipped. So
got it. Just make it faster.
Yeah, faster,
easier.
a little more intuitive, So that's what I'm going to do is I think that we should do blue and purple because I like the blue and purple here.
I'm not surprised you picked purple.
I do like purple sometimes.
You like purple.
I do. So I'm gonna throw this in here, but what I want to do is start to really define this, and I've got kind of a method that I've been really liking for doing this. So I'm actually gonna snag our soft round brush. Some people might know what's coming up next, but what I love to do is grab a soft round brush. I'm going to bring this, make this a little bit lighter, come into my brush settings and make sure that dissolve is set for the blend mode because it makes me a really nice, textury brush.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it gives me, a little bit of noise,
I like it.
Which is cool. And I like now to use this in combination with one of my most favorite Kyle T. Webster brushes, which is called, if we come over here to my recent, the Halftone 5. So Halftone 5 looks like this. It's got some good chunkiness, which depending on the kind of vibe you're going for, this can be perfect.
Right.
For me, it seems very graphic and maybe something that I would use for a more playful illustration personally.
Yep.
But it does have a lot of really great settings. And so if I don't press very hard, you can see I get this almost gritty texture to it. And then the harder I press, the more crazy this becomes, so that I can really play with the kind of texture. But if I combine those two things, like so, maybe this edge I press a little harder to blend it, then come in with my soft round brush with the dissolve mode, I can really get a super nice gradient texture that is it's got some larger bits and some more little straggly pieces of texture. So I've been loving this, and that is the combo I'm going to use today.
It does look very gradient-esque.
Yeah.
I really love that masking. I'm not over it. I know we moved on. But
no, he's fine. It's fine.
The masking is so nice that it just keeps it in the confines of what you're working on, and don't have to go back and erase things and
because then I can just unhide it, or hide it and unhide. If I decide I want to make this different color, I can just change it. Yeah. There's also something that we will get into as well is just as a quick example, we could do it on the staff is if you don't want to do clipping masks, you could also do lock transparency. So we can come in and lock the transparency, and that will allow me to do the same thing that clipping masks does, but it is on the exact same layer. So if I come in here with we'll do a bright color just so you can really see it. I'm still selected on my staff layer, but I'm painting on it, only within the confines of that. And this can be a really powerful technique to use in combination with clipping masks. For example, we have our crystal and then we have our color clip to it. And if I make myself another layer and I come in here with a brighter purple and I start to, we'll just add a little bit of texture and interest here just so that it's kind of glowing at the top. And then maybe after I do this, I want to add another clipping mask. We'll come in with a sharper brush. We'll come in with this felt tip. And let's grab a brighter purple. And maybe I come in and I start to think, well, I want to add, some lines, some detail lines. Let me actually hide our sketch for now. Or turn it on even lower opacity just so I can barely see it because I don't want it to be distracting. I don't know if you folks can see it at home, but the point is that you won't need it in just a moment. But I will kind of drag. I'm just clicking and holding and dragging to make these straight lines rather than just kind of freehanding perfect straight lines. But maybe I want to start doing this, right? And I want to start adding a little bit of straight crystal detail on the side here as we begin to make our way through this, which that's actually not too bad. I think that actually looks like pretty cool. Just to give it a little more definition as we make our way through this. Kind of reminds me of the dark crystal, if there's any dark crystal fans in the chat. But the thing about this is what if I don't like the color that I've chosen for that, especially towards the bottom. We've got an ombre going on with our piece here, but maybe we want an ombre with the details. And if this wasn't a clipping mask, we could just clip something to it, and change the color.
Yeah.
But you can't because it's already a clipping mask. Right. So this is where lock transparency comes in. So I can't clip something to it because it's already a mask clipped to the shape of our crystal. But I can come in to those lines, the line layer, lock the transparency, and then paint directly on it. So any color I put down will stay within those confines, and I can snag, just press and hold to sample that color. Let's make that a little bit darker. And then I can come in here and start to, yeah, and just, totally texture our lines if we want to. So we can get a little bit more, interest going on with those. Yeah. I might choose a slightly different color for it, or make it really dramatic, so like only right here where you can see it most has like that shine, which lends itself really to what we're doing, because I can come in underneath the lines, and let's grab that halftone, and then let's actually grab this color we used for the lines, and I'm going to turn it. Let's make my brush a little smaller, and then we can start to really get.
Yeah. Which brush was this?
This is the Halftone 5 from Kyle T. Webster.
I feel like picking out brushes is such a skill too. It's what is going to give you what you're looking for. You know?
Kind of have to noodle with it a little bit, especially with Kyle's brushes are so detailed and so awesome in like what really you can do with them. I find myself like noodling around a lot with trying to find the right texture that works, because they have effects, like trying to find the right texture that works well for my personal style too, as I paint, because this one has like a lot of the pressure opacity and all that. But yeah, so we kind of have the lines fading to a darker color there. We also can come in with that little dissolve brush we kind of made.
Same one that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, give it a little bit of blend.
This is like the most relaxing stream that I've ever done. Do you get like super relaxed when you illustrate like this?
Yeah. Sometimes. So I will start, especially when I'm painting like props and items and stuff, I will start painting, and then my boyfriend will be like, how long have you been in here doing this? And I'm like, I don't know. When did you start? Noon. It's 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. You're getting lost in your work. It's very like meditative, I feel like.
Yeah, totally. I feel like we could even get away with making this a little bit brighter, like at the very top. So if we want to come in with something that is like, boom, like just like
really make it stand out. Like the sun is hitting it from the top almost.
Shing.
Yeah.
Just like fancy. And it's like, I feel like this ends up being like just like a really cool thing, but we don't want to forget that we have like a reference image over here. Right. So what is this crystal, these crystals here have that this one doesn't, because we want to stay true to like our source material here, and I think we need something magical.
Blue. We need a little bit of the blue. I do love the gold, which is not normally something I would put in like with purple and blue. Yeah. But I like the gold. It makes it magical. Yes,
yeah, it's like has a little bit of,
Yes. Not only are we witches, but we're royal witches.
We are not only royal witches, we are royal witch fashionistas.
Yes.
And this is like what we do.
Try saying royal witch.
Yeah.
3 times fast. It's not easy.
I wanted to say like so many other different vowels and things in the middle of that. It just like stops up the brain.
Too much.
Yep. So there's an interesting approach that we can go through for this. So we have another reason why working with layers and working with the clipping mask is so great is that I have my lines here, which I like well enough, but we need to try to create this idea that there's something inside.
Right, okay.
You know, so we don't want to paint directly over top. So I can paint on a layer that is between the lines and details of the outside and what's on the inside. And something I might not have thought of is like this definitely gives us like this great inspiration for, okay, we should have definitely a shine, you know, on one side to show that the, you know, where the sun is hitting, so we can kind of add that detail later. But another thing that this really shows as far as inspiration goes is like the stuff that is in the crystal is kind of bright, bold, where you can see it. But as you look and peer deeper inside this crystal, there is like a darkness there.
In the back. Yeah.
I think one of the things that's really interesting though is like when you look at this, what color does your brain tell you like the central crystal is? Like the colors that you're picking up is like...
Yes, so I think that it's purple. But it's like the blue is like spilling out of the crystal.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it looks like to me.
So it's like the top, just this hint of purple on the top of this, even though like, I mean, honestly, if we sample this color, it's probably going to be like some kind of yellow.
Yeah, like whitish
let's look at that.
Yellow.
Yeah, like if you come in here, it's like a whitish yellow color, but somehow the element of that purple and that strange yellow color on the side, to me, tells me that this whole crystal is purple with blue stuff inside of it.
Yep.
So that's an interesting thing really to contemplate as we start doing this. So I've painted a purple crystal, but what we need to do is use our inspirational image to come over and really start to make it look 3D, give it some depth, and fill it with magic. So I just sampled that color. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna experiment here with just like throwing this color in. So if I wanna give it some depth, we can like kind of throw this in here, maybe fade it up, similar to how our reference image does. And we really can, because we are the masters of this realm, you know, we really can pick and choose how we interpret this inspiration here. So I think that this works well, where like maybe the side of this has most of the darkness. And then if I want to, I'll make another layer just to keep things separate. If I want to, with a smaller brush, I can also put a little bit of darkness here. So when I turn my layer on, we still have, like, I know how to follow it so that it's like there's depth here, but I can, you know, kind of, oops, I want to make sure I'm not painting on that layer. There's depth, you know, along this area where there's still purple showing through, but I definitely want to show that, like, peak back there.
Yeah, totally.
And then we can start to add our little wiggly whatevers in there. Like this to me,
spill out. It looks watery.
It does look watery.
Yeah.
Like what if there's like a like, I feel like what I'm about to say is like not a normal thing to say.
Okay,
but it's
let's
like,
hear it.
What if there's like the spirit of a sea monster trapped inside of it?
I love it.
Okay.
And its eyeball is the one that's in the necklace.
In the neck. Oh
wow.
We are making.
We should write a book or something.
We should do that.
Yeah.
We should do that. And it's like just the journey to gathering all of the accessories for the Kraken's outfit.
Yep.
That's what it is.
It's just a fashion blog at that point.
Yeah, it is.
For magical creatures.
But like, mythical creatures. Like, if you want to know what the it creatures are wearing this season, it's this.
Yes.
It's this.
Chat saying to make sure to add the gold and the sparkles. We like the sparkles.
Yes. So I'm just gonna try to, real quick, let me grab like a, I could use the Blocko, could use the pencil. Let's try pencil real quick, because it gives me a little more control. So if we wanna do like some kind of wiggly something, you know, let me do some sketching.
Okay.
We'll do some sketching in blue.
Penny's saying that this stream is awesome, and I think it's because get us together. We're gonna talk about fantasy stuff.
We are gonna do that. Yes.
Fantasy world building here on Adobe Live.
Honestly, we should have fantasy realms built in here on Adobe Live, because what do we do here if not, you know, express creative magic, you know?
Exactly. I love it.
So we could do like some kind of wiggly thing. What I'm imagining, because I like to build worlds and write stories and everything, is like, okay, there is a sea monster in this crystal, but when she's trapped, she looks like a little creepy tadpole.
Okay.
Like she's like tiny baby when she's inside.
Yeah.
So
she's
if
cute. She's
small. She's small. She's sad. Please let her out.
Oh.
Don't worry, she'll get out.
Maybe she's
gonna
like
be
our little
fierce.
pet, though.
She could be.
What if we love her?
What if we love her and this is just where she sleeps, like a Pokeball?
Yeah, because you know, I kind of always think like I want to carry my cat around in like a little magical orb, so we just want to carry our little sea monster around in a magical orb.
Oh my gosh! And we could take her to battle with us. She's
so
a
cute.
weapon right
oh my
now.
Gosh.
And she's like,
and we can release her.
Yeah.
When we need.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you imagine rolling up to like a fantasy battle and everyone's like, you know, we got our armies, everything's going great, and you're like, I have a sea monster in a glass crystal. So
back up.
Yeah. Watch out.
Val, our book is coming out 2025.
Yeah. This is
Come
like
back for
canon
our
world
book.
building. I think it would be really cool if like the shape of her, and I know that we like are coming up like pretty close to time here, but I think that it would be really cool if like the small version of her sort of resembles a fishhook.
Okay.
Because
I like it.
like, you know, like maybe she has like little eyes.
Yeah.
You know, there's like little eyes in here.
She's cute.
She could be cute. She's kind of spooky in there. She's kind of scary in there. But it could be really neat. She can have like, you know, her little tail continues down. This is what we do. I'm trying not to be too precious with this because I do want it to be like
we
really
could
cute.
spend like the whole stream on her.
Yeah, we could. But here, this is what I'll leave you with. It's just like before we start to detail other things, is I'm gonna come in here and we're gonna do this.
I do like being able to take the colors from the reference image too.
Yeah.
Because like we were talking about, sometimes it can be overwhelming to find colors. Cute. Oh, she's blushing.
She's kawaii. She's so cute. Okay. I think that is neat. I would give her a little hairdo too, but I think that's good. She's in there. She out here.
She's cute.
Okay.
I'm glad we get to take her everywhere.
Yes. So we could also do, if we wanted to, lock transparency on that.
Okay.
And come in with the soft round brush. And let's grab like an even darker blue because I feel like, you know, she would have some depth to her.
Right.
Like this, if I darken the edges of her underneath, we can make her like sort of 3D, you know, like hit
like
it
she's
with
really in there.
Yeah, she's like in there. We could put some other elements. I don't know if we have time to like jam pack a bunch of
Come back for a stream where we just work on
yeah,
her.
where we just design her. I'm gonna need some names in the chat though. Like if anybody wants to name her, you can name her. But it had better be something like she's gonna need to sound powerful.
Yeah.
Or she could be, I think I like characters that either have like super, super dope names or have super ridiculous names but are like really overpowered. Like Mr. Muffins, Destroyer of Worlds.
Yes. Unassuming and then.
Yes, and then terrifying.
Okay, she's so cute.
All right.
I can't believe we just
so
made that little
long.
character.
We
She
just,
has
like,
such
she's in there.
personality.
I know, she's little. She's like very. She has a sassy shape.
She does.
It's a very sassy shape.
This is a great example, though, of using the reference image and creating something that's totally your style. Like, this little guy is totally your style. But we did use the, like, idea of water in this crystal as our inspiration. So, using Firefly, but keeping your style.
Yeah, kind of keeping your vibe, but, like, it's definitely, like, kind of a derivative of, and you know what? I might not have, you know, like we've been saying, there's a lot of decisions here that I am making creatively that I might not have made had I not generated a little bit of inspo. I definitely, kind of like what you were saying earlier, is I definitely don't think that I would have chosen, you know, eventually adding gold to this like I want to. I probably would have just made it like gray and stuff at the bottom, but now we could do some gold kind of colors. I want to add a little bit more darkness here just to put like that depth. And then I want to do, I keep like switching the talking point. Like I feel like I'm like, yeah, use the reference image and then immediately a new sentence. It's like a different part of the painting, so I'm sorry.
No, this is the meditative drawing. Your mind creativity is just flowing. I love it.
I want to put a little bit of...
We have some names.
Oh, we have names?
Valdonia the Vicious. I like that.
I like Valdonia
Gareth
the
said that.
Vicious. I like that.
Sendoria?
Sendoria?
That's cute.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Sendoria? Okay. I like it. I'm
Keep 'em
picking up what you're
coming.
putting down, chat.
Yes.
I'm digging it. Let's do also just some stuff because, okay, so what this has is like, I was kind of really liking like this little part of that because it almost looked like a creature head kind of poking out. But like there's so much other stuff here in the beginning or in the front. So what I want to do is I've added a little bit of depth there. So let's grab like kind of a lighter blue with a smaller, you know, more textured brush of sorts, and let's put like some random little, almost like inner crystal foliage.
Yes. So is this the layer between the background and your character, or where are you placing this layer?
This is above the character, but beneath the lines for for it, because what I want to do is create like this little, you know, like these. I'm just gonna sketch it super roughly, and just to add this idea that like there's other weird magical energies inside here with her maybe.
Yes.
Just for my own brain to come back to. But now we can come in with our line art, and she's in there. I almost want her to be a little bit darker.
Okay.
So that, because I mean this is pretty bright, but I'm wondering if, you know, if she's more of a silhouette in there, if that would be cool, but I'm not sure. So we won't worry about that too much because I feel like if I start worrying about that, then that's what we're going to do for the rest of the show. So we're going to do that. But now I'll come in with the polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to start doing some shine. So let's grab like the soft round opacity. Instead of using the like more yellowy, I'm going to use like this almost mauve, grayish, like kind of almost like a lavender sunlight kind of color.
Lavender sunlight.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But I don't, it's too dark because I used a pretty saturated color, so maybe we will do more like a sunlight. Let's do like a straight, like,
okay.
That might look really cool. Let's do like a saturated, boom. Let's see. Oh, that looks like a shine.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That looks like shine to me.
Definitely looks like a little bit of sun is hitting it.
Yeah, and so we want to kind of see these like faces in our mind, like the flat faces of the crystal.
Yep.
So we've got that, and then let's deselect, come in, and let's select here as well, and let's do it here.
So this is giving it way more of that like 3D look almost.
Yeah.
That the reference image does a really good job of showing.
And it gives us like, you know, the depth, like, you know, she's encased in something.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of go around. I wish that we had, I said we, but it's my fault. I wish that I had spent maybe a little bit more time on like the part that's like encasing. Yeah. You know, but that's something I could do later in post.
Yes.
You know?
You have to post this
once
you finish it. I'll be very interested in it.
Let's do like a little
light,
you know, maybe from the other side. I'm not sure. We're experimenting here.
Okay.
And then we can do another couple of, you know.
Oh, that looks good.
It just gives it
gave it like a little bit more of like that separation where it does look like a face. Yeah. Very much like the
just on the side because it's
reference image.
It's not touching fully. Like up close it's like what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it's not touching that other one fully. So it looks like it's on a different plane. Right. You know? And we could do the same thing with this a little bit.
So as we're like wrapping up, what would be like your next step in this process? And we'll post this on Instagram so y'all can see it, the final version. So make sure you follow our Instagram at Adobe Live, and also Val's Instagram. She posts some great things. But yeah, what would be the next step in your process? Would you like continue to deepen the crystal, or would you start working on the staff?
I would start working on like the handle portion of it, and then once I got that to like really where I want it to be, my next step would be probably hitting it with like a combination of blending modes over the entire thing. So remember, I made a group, so this is all in its own group.
Yep.
So if I wanted to, I think we probably have like a minute and a half left here, it looks like. Yep. But if I wanted to do really, really quickly, if I wanted to create a blending mode or create a clipping mask, we'll grab this, grab like this dark color, like this dark, you know, something, maybe something like that, and throw that in there. I would clip, just to make it all colored, clip a color, come in maybe with this blue, drop that in there, and then on a blending mode, I would come in and start to like alter the colors all together. You know, make something really cool, something that just fits well together.
Oh my goodness.
Choose one. That blends it all together really well.
That is so cool. The crystal, just zoom in there a little bit right now.
Yeah. Let me tap out of that. Yeah, you know, like, and it's funny too, because
so
like up close, it's like textury and gritty, but like when far away, it looks really cool.
It looks so cool. Like that really does look like she's in there. She's in the crystal.
Yeah, like she's like almost like there's like glass around her, kind of.
Yeah,
you know?
it looks so good.
But you could also do a like hue and saturation layer or a color balance layer, and clip that too. So if we hide that, instead of, we could come over here and we can add, like, make it more purple, make it more green. We can change all kinds of stuff like that. So those would be my next steps there.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited to see the final project on Instagram.
Yes.
Make sure you follow us and follow Val. And stick around, because Val will be back for another session on Firefly with Ted's Little Dream. So come back in a few minutes and we'll talk more Firefly. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Bye.